November 30th, a date that has witnessed America make devastating choices that would stain its conscience, cost countless lives, and shake global confidence. It's a day when humanitarian promises were broken, military strategy failed, and economic oversight proved catastrophic. What connects these events? A pattern of failing to protect the vulnerable while pursuing other goals. This is the story of America's greatest mistakes on November 30th. Throughout American history, some of our most profound failures have occurred when we prioritized expediency over humanity, ideology over reality, and innovation over security. On this November 30th, we're examining three critical errors: a brutal forced march, a military miscalculation in harsh terrain, and a financial oversight that shook the world. Let's begin with the tragedy that became known as the Trail of Tears. Mistake number 1. The Trail of Tears, a promise broken, 1838. It's 1838. Despite the Supreme Court ruling in their favor, Cherokee people are being forcibly removed from their ancestral lands in the southeastern United States. The context: the Indian Removal Act of 1830 authorized the forced relocation of Native American tribes. While some removals began earlier, the largest groups were moved in late 1838. The November 30th reality. By November 30th, 1838, thousands of Cherokee people were on a forced march westward in brutal winter conditions. They faced starvation, disease, and exposure due to inadequate government planning and supplies. The mistake: this was a catastrophic failure of humanitarian policy and legal integrity. The U.S. government violated its own treaties and court rulings, showing that political and economic goals would override both law and human dignity. The consequence: of the approximately 16,000 Cherokee forced to march, an estimated 4,000 to 6,000 died from disease, starvation, and exposure. The Trail of Tears remains one of the darkest chapters in American history, creating generational trauma and a lasting legacy of broken trust with Native nations. The lesson: when a government prioritizes expansion and resource acquisition over its legal and moral obligations, it commits atrocities that stain its history for centuries. Mistake number 2. The Korean War, the Chosin Reservoir Disaster, 1950. From a 19th century humanitarian disaster to a 20th century military catastrophe in the frozen mountains of Korea. The context: UN forces, led by the United States, had pushed deep into North Korea. Despite intelligence warnings, General MacArthur dismissed the threat of Chinese intervention. The November 30th crisis. By November 30th, 1950, U.S. Marines at the Chosin Reservoir were completely surrounded by 120,000 Chinese troops in temperatures of -35 degrees Fahrenheit, -37 degrees Celsius. What was supposed to be a final offensive became a desperate fight for survival. The mistake: this was a colossal intelligence and strategic failure. Military leaders ignored clear signs of Chinese buildup and intervention, believing their technological superiority would prevail against any opponent in any conditions. The consequence: though the Marines executed a brilliant fighting retreat, they suffered over 12,000 casualties. The disaster transformed the Korean War from a nearly won conflict into a bloody stalemate that continues to this day, costing millions of lives and creating a permanent nuclear-armed standoff. The lesson: underestimating an opponent and ignoring intelligence because of technological or cultural arrogance leads to military disaster, no matter how advanced your weapons are. Mistake number 3. The FTX Collapse, regulatory failure, 2022. From military failure to financial catastrophe, where a new form of American innovation went spectacularly wrong. The context: FTX grew to become the second-largest cryptocurrency exchange, valued at $32 billion, with extensive political connections and mainstream credibility. The November 30th revelation. While the collapse began earlier in November, by November 30th, 2022, the full scale of the $8 billion customer fund shortfall was clear, and the company was in bankruptcy proceedings. The mistake: this represented a massive regulatory and oversight failure. US regulators and politicians had embraced the crypto industry without establishing proper safeguards, allowing a massive Ponzi scheme to operate in plain sight. The consequence? Millions of investors lost their savings, damaging trust in both cryptocurrency and American financial regulation. The collapse revealed critical gaps in how the U.S. oversees new financial technologies and raised serious questions about political corruption. The lesson: innovation without regulation and proper oversight creates environments where massive fraud can thrive, damaging both consumers and faith in American financial leadership. Conclusion: so what connects Native American removal, a frozen battlefield, and a crypto collapse? They all represent failures to protect vulnerable people from systems of power. In each case, America failed to uphold its promises, whether to indigenous peoples, to its own soldiers, or to everyday investors. The pursuit of land, military victory, or financial innovation blinded leaders to their fundamental responsibilities. November 30th teaches us that true strength isn't just about expansion or innovation. It's about creating systems that protect the vulnerable and maintain integrity. When we sacrifice these values for other goals, we create tragedies that echo through history. Which of these protection failures do you find most troubling? Let me know in the comments. If you believe in learning from history's hardest lessons, please like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.